like I really don't belong. I can't explain it. When I close my eyes, I see a strange reality. Am I dreaming, or on the edge of remembering? You wake up feeling like you really don't belong. You can't explain it, but when you close your eyes you see familiarity. Are you dreaming, or on the edge of remembering? Okay, good morning. It is Sunday. It is a sunny Sunday here in Connecticut. It was sunny yesterday too for the No Kings rallies that went all over the state. I am so proud of my fellow Connecticut people and the world. Other countries joined in the No Kings rallies. It was a joy. And the cool thing about going to a No Kings rally is you immediately have hundreds and thousands of friends. You all know why you're there. Trying to save democracy. Protesting the government stealing our money and making war and hurting people on our streets. So we know why we're there. Now, it's going to take, what we need are a bunch of Republican congressmen to grow a spine and quit. Or keep your seat and change parties. You gotta do something if you really are American. Anyway, you meet the nicest people. And I got to meet the nicest people and also have a wonderful meal with my sister. And we went to a place called the Mystic Yarn Shop. It's been there 25 years, and the owner is a wonderful lady, very talented, and the wool that they have there is gorgeous. All these hand-dyed lots from all over the area, some imports, but some of this stuff is made locally. And my sister bought a skein of multiple colors dyed, you know, when they dye a whole skein of these beautiful greens and deep blues. Definitely colors I would have gone for. Matter of fact, that was my first choice. We both fell in love with the same scarf that was on display. They give away the pattern to that because, you know, getting a skein of yarn to do that, that yarn is about $25 to $28, something like that. No, I think she paid $28 for it. Worth it. It is the finest yarn I've ever seen as a yarn. And I'm really glad now. Like, I did not order a particular beige, light beige mohair, but it's going to be a beautiful skein of yarn, but I don't want it. And I was already planning on returning it, and now I'll just give it to my sister because she knits. I do not. That's why I took up this hobby of creating fabric in an entirely different way. Now, yeah, I can do better than that. I guess maybe I should draw a template for that. Because they're a little off. But we're going to be needle felting this. Now, I took a class in needle felting a flower. I really was specifically wanting to learn how to do a flower because of this project, which I started with instructions from the online community. But it got to the point, it's like, wait a second, it's not doing exactly what I want. We have to change that. And I wasn't sure how to do it. So the class taught me something really important when you're working with felt, is ironing it. It never occurred to me for some reason to iron it. Maybe because none of the tutorials that I was watching, they do all the basic stuff, nobody was showing some of the finishing stuff. And it's like, oh, well, that makes sense. So when you make your felt, before you wrap it and curl it and all that, you iron it. Now this I did not iron because I haven't done any needle felting on it yet, and I'm still not sure how I want to approach it. So just taking my time, and luckily, although nature does have so many perfections, when you look closely you do see there are also imperfections. So when you do that with your own material, you don't feel so bad. You're natural. So I'm cutting that a little wide, but these didn't all come out the same. My first attempt at a flower. Yes. Originally, I was trying to make it as lacy as possible, like little wool as possible, so it would be, you know, kind of like this, really kind of transparent. I don't know if you can see my skin through that, but you can see skin right through that spot. So it's nice and thin, but and it doesn't hold any kind of a shape either. It was just a little too thin. Now, I know that people with a lot of experience, meaning they have a lot of wool, they don't have to save little scraps. Um, and one of the problems that happens with working with natural materials is inconsistency. That's one of the reasons we got into working so much on commercial dyes, because you can't count on nature to always produce the same color. Even Anomaris, the Layla plants that provide a fiber for weaving, makes a blue fiber, and the entire crop, whatever blue the plant is, that's it for the year. You can't dye it, you can't bleach it. It's that shade of blue forever. But in real life, we have variations, and if you're a knitter or a crocheter, then you know if you want to finish a project, you need to buy enough yarn to make sure you finish the whole project. Because the next time, like if you just have a little bit left to go, you go to buy that same wool. It may be called the same color, but when you hold it next to your previously purchased wool, you'll see very likely a slight discrepancy in the color. And over time, that can become more exaggerated as everything wears, so you try to make sure you have enough, but that always ends up with a little extra because you tend to overbuy to make sure you have enough for your project. Well, I'm not at the point where I can overbuy, at least so far. But when I was at the yarn shop, looking at all these yarns, realizing I can't use 99.9% of what's in here. They have adorable buttons and awesome buttons, gigantic buttons. So I can go there and you can buy one button, which is great, because apparently there's some kind of a shawl kind of a thing that people are finding very comfortable and popular, and they're using one big button. I thought, that's pretty cool. I should try that. But I'm not into making that kind of clothing yet, especially because we're coming into the warm season, starting this week. And when it gets warm here on the top floor, it gets warm. So, as people who follow the shows, I ended up being very noisy all summer because my air conditioner is right there. And this is also the only place in the house to work. So, we have fan issues, noise issues. So, while this was still wet, I just kind of compressed it, and this is bringing me to the introduction of llama fur. This is wool, called wool roving. I think they sometimes call it wool bats. I guess that's a plug of the stuff. Wool has a memory, and as you can see, if you work with it enough, even though I haven't felted this with a needle, it's already kind of cooperating. And that's really important for making felt, because you're asking the fibers to knit themselves together. And they can do that, and they'll hold on to it themselves, and it becomes felted or fulled. The more you felt it, the stronger it gets, because the more dense it gets. There's even a tool. Now, I bought this just thinking it was going to speed things up for me because it's got 3 needles in it. And I thought, well, that's 3 needles is better than 1. Not necessarily. This is actually used on a little angle, and it makes things firm up, like it plumps them up. And that's good. You're making a denser fabric. But you do have to use it very methodically. It's not like random all over the place, which you can get away with in certain circumstances. So this is a real handy tool. We're going to be using it to help turn this into a flower. When I get this done, these 2 things, they're going to go here. I'm going to cut a slightly larger hole. We're going to bring some of this yellow through and actually add to it to make more of a center. But this bottom one needs to be turned into 5 petals. and I did not do anything to get that, so we're gonna follow this. Just to get my first cut so I know where we're going. This stuff is so soft. It's like handling, it's almost like a baby blanket. Now, apparently there is some fluid you can purchase to help stiffen up the felt. I haven't looked really deeply into that because right now I've just been trying to stay basic with soap and water and pressure. Okay, we now have 5 petals. Go in a little more. Now, I accidentally felted these two together. I wanted 2 circles, but when I was continuing to work the felt, I accidentally made the centers stick together. But that turned out to be kind of a cool idea anyway, so although I would have taken this and put some more color, I'm still going to end up doing more color to help give this more of a shape. We're going to use some of this onto this petal, basically repeating the pattern with the red and pink. But first, I want to introduce you to a different fiber altogether, llama. Llama is constructed very different from a wool fiber. It does not have the memory or the stretch that wool has. It has a hollow core, I think. I'm still learning about my different fibers. But it takes much longer to wet felt. It can be felted with a needle, but I understand that also takes a little longer, a little bit more patience, because it doesn't contain any kind of lanolin or oil, which natural wool does. Lanolin is used in the cosmetic industries. When I was a kid, that was a big deal. When you had really bad, dry skin, my stepmother did, and she used lanolin, but it came in a tube, and it was really, it was way thicker than toothpaste, and you'd have to squeeze out just a little teeny bit. Oh man, it took a lot to kind of melt it down in your hands before you, well, applied it like a hand lotion. It took some work, but you were kind of like waterproof for half a day. Well, until you hit it with a bunch of soap. That did remove it, but oh, it did work to make things softer. So this is, it looks like a giant wig in the bag. This is fairly clean. It's got a little bit of plant matter in it from, you know, where they gather all of this, but it has been washed and it looks like it has been combed. It has a shorter fiber than the wool roving from the merino wool that I use. But look at the color changes. We've got a near black brown with a lighter brown tip. And it feels, this is the softest thing I've ever felt. Now, it does smell a little like a llama. Luckily not a lot. There is a cedar ball in here somewhere. There it is. I didn't make her fish it out before she weighed it. She was spent so much time with us, and she was so informative. I said, if you don't mind it being in there, just leave it. You know, if she needed that, I'd say take it back, but yeah. So I am not going to play with this today because this is going to take some more, it's going to take a while to felt, and this is my Sunday show, and I don't have that kind of time on a Sunday show. But I did want to show this because it's just, oh my goodness, so soft. So I am, instead of using this by itself, I'm going to be blending it with wool, because the wool is what has the spring and the memory, and this llama fur has a softer hand touch, and it's lighter. It's just a very gorgeous fiber, so I can't wait to work with it. But I have in mind a whole bunch of different projects, and I want to make sure that I get to them all. And I'm teaching one of my friends how to do wet felting on Tuesday afternoon after lunch. And a lab, I've got to go to labs. It's every 4 months or so I have to get blood work done. I'm not worried about anything. Okay, so this is meant to be our collection of brown wool. I hope not. I thought I had some other brown, so let me just see where I managed to relocate them. You, okay. I thought so. All right, we are not going to put this in here. This is for all of my blacks, grays, anything that's really more gray than anything else, and blue grays. Oh, I was so thrilled. My sister loved the tote that I made for her. It did come out so well. Okay, this is my latest acquisition. These three in quantity enough to make a nice purse. And with this dark brown, that will work beautifully with the coffee and the light coffee, because of our lighter tips. That could really lighten it up. Oh, so beautiful. Now, I know if you're not into felting or wool arts, this doesn't really mean much to you. But I have to say that when I saw wet felting being done, something in me clicked, like, really strongly. And I felt if I did not get my hands on wool to try this, I would die. Okay, not die. But I really felt dramatic about it, and I realized when I get ready to do a project, even though it might not be visible on the outside, inside I am a dog doing zoomies. So yeah, you can't tell, but I'm a dog doing zoomies. Luckily, I don't have to be a human doing zoomies because there's just no room in here to zoom. Alright, so we do have some lovely browns that are going to go. Oh, we're going to make a bag out of this. I've got enough here to do a couple, maybe even 3, because like I said, it's got to be mixed with wool. I don't have any wool as dark as this. This is the closest I can come, and it's a different brown. Definitely a different brown. I'm going to go more with the others. Unless I can find merino top of a really deep chocolate brown. Now, I was wondering, like, where should I get my rude? Because all my little samples, my little proofs, the like 3 grams worth of wool, like, you know, a little handful. I can get those online very easily in sets, you know, or by themselves. I've got half a dozen poofies coming. I forget what they're called. I call them just poofies. It's just weighed out wool. I've got some other colors coming in small amounts. When I want a larger amount, it's a little harder to track down. But I did find a couple places on Etsy that can, they offer a nice range of colors. Now, what I was most hoping for, aside from an unusual fiber like I did find with the llama, I was really hoping for something like viscose or silk, but she did not have any of that in stock by itself. So it wasn't a completely satisfying day. I still want to find my silks, but it's not like I'm bummed out because I have 6 balls of yarn on the way here that are completely amazing, multiple strand yarns. They are so beautiful. I'm really excited about those coming in. I showed them to my sister and she got it. And she loved what I made for her and her first grandchild, which made me happy because, you know, my sister actually has a degree in art and I've always wanted to impress her with a gift. And I think I finally did it. And when we were back here and she was giving me some of her yarn that she had left from dye lots that ran out, I showed her my little felted vessel and she said, "You have definitely found your medium." And she was very happy for me. So she found her medium, which turns out to be encaustic painting. She loves it. But in addition to being expensive, you really need a studio. There's fumes involved. Her apartment, like mine, is too small to support that particular art. I am able to do small projects on this, but when it's time to do my scarf, the silk scarf, I'm going to have to bring all my stuff down to the community room because the only place with a table big enough. So, although nobody will be bothered by that, that means I got to be around humans while I'm doing my favorite meditative craft. But that scarf is one of the reasons I got so excited. The idea, the fact that the only way to save my antique scarf, which is full of holes, and it's at least 100 years old, and I don't want to screw it up, you know. It's just, you can't get that back once it's dead. So I've been gathering the materials to repair it, and almost there. I have beautiful blue silk strands that are going to help strengthen this, and I think what I'll be doing is called Nuno felting. It's when you combine silk with your wool and felt it all together. It's really cool. I guess, you know, in a way it's got its own complications, but it's not that hard. All right, so let me get the colors we need. We will not need the yellow right now, but we do need the red and the magenta, or pinky magenta, and some orange. Tray bags. Back under oranges and reds. Pinks and magentas. Okay. I think we have more than enough of this for this project. We have of orange. We'll just throw that over there. Maybe a little extra. We're going to do a little bit of layering. All of it is an experiment because when it comes right down to it, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, I know a little what I'm doing, but not a lot. Yeah, that is the same red? Yeah, it is. All right, we'll just leave that out. Yellow, we can put you back in here. Try not to have them touch too much because they do transfer, and I guess you get the tweezers and have to pull it out. What's always surprising is, you know, even a white sheep does not have 100% white wool. So I can be using white wool and I've got to pull out black sheep. Okay, let's get these out of the way. Now, I know a bunch of people who do flowers, they add leaves. I'm not so interested in a leaf, actually. I am interested in putting the pin through the back so I can attach this to a hat. But not yet. I just dropped a fortune cookie. And I'm going to say, it's mine now. So, just for the record, I keep fortune cookies on hand for you guys. I don't eat them, and I don't usually open them for myself. I do keep them here for you. So if you want a fortune cookie, just ask. What a great fortune for Sunday. Seek out the humor in everyday situations. Well, I do that all the time because life is weird. All right, so let's see what we've got here. We need to kind of tighten up these edges. So I'm going to try with this first. Oh yeah. Let's keep the fingers out of the way, since I am not currently wearing my little finger guards. I think they call them cuts, finger cuts. When I had to handle a lot of paper on office days that required a lot of paper handling, I actually had little latex cuts, like little teeny finger condoms. And that was very helpful for turning pages and not having to do lick the thumb. Uh-oh. Well, now you see how deadly those suckers are. Oh, there it is. Let's not crush it. Yeah, you three belong in there. There we go. Gotta be careful about that. Alright, let's get the other little... we are going to trace around your edges. So for those who don't know, this is a special needle. It's not just a plain needle. Felting needles have barbs carved into them from here up. So the barbs are facing different directions. And as you push it through wool, it's grabbing the fibers and pushing them down. And as you pull it out, it's grabbing fibers and pulling them up. When you do this enough to a color, you will see the same color on the other side because you're exchanging. The more you do it, the thicker your felt gets, the stronger it gets. So obviously something this thin like the flower, it's going to be more delicate. It's not a thickness that would support any weight like in a little clutch or purse. But it's not meant to. So you can keep it light. Alright, the edges are looking a little better because they're getting a little thicker. What I'm trying to do is make it all stay together so I can then like see if this will help make this even fuller around the edges, which I'm hoping will give it a kind of a curvature. At this, go back there, red. Okay, now let's lift it up carefully. Let's see where it went all the way through. Let's get stuck to that again. I think it's doing it. It's ironic that this particular needle came with my very first kit. And so far, it's one of my favorites. In fact, it is my favorite single needle. I have a whole slew of other sizes, but I like the way this one works out. Oh, here. And the more you full it, the more it shrinks because it's getting denser. That's a little better. Okay, so what'll happen when I'm done with all of these leaves, petals, it's going to be washed. And dried with some of the soap in it, so it will learn a shape. Previously, this was just wet felted. That's why it's all poofy. And there's the stuff that we affixed to the pad. I'll have to use adhesive to get that off. Yeah, I don't think you could do this with llama fur, for example. You can needle felt it. I'm not doing that today, but the lovely woman who sold it to me warned me that it would take longer because it doesn't have the same kind of a structure or spring that wool has. But this coming week we will be working with that a little. I have 2 other projects ahead. Actually, I think the second or third project will incorporate some of that llama wool. Okay, stay. Say hi. It's Sunday. I hope you have your cuppa, relaxing. I'm thinking of starting the show later from now on, because I like my Sundays too. And I've been doing Sunday morning for 18 years. And now that I'm on YouTube, this is my quietest channel. Yep, some of this is really thin. But like I said, I did try for that. water. look. No, we got 2 more to do. We've only done 3. Feels like forever. It is a slow, tedious process. There's something strangely pleasurable about it. The hardest part is remember to keep your body relaxed, because when you're working in front of you like this, it's really easy for your shoulders to get all tensed up. That's not good for your health or your posture. So that's what it looks like. When I'm so busy doing something, I forget what it looks like on camera, or cameras. just going to have to trim you. I think that's it. Okay, this will be a little trickier because I have to keep this out of the way. But we are going to put a little red strip down the 5 petals. Now, one thing I have to say about little bits of dried grass and hay, at least you know it's really wool. You won't get that with synthetics. And synthetics do not wet felt, ever. I have spent hours and hours trying to make something felt only to discover it wasn't really felt. I mean, it wasn't wool at all. It was a synthetic of unknown origin. Okay. Hello, there are you, my darling. How are you? Been quite an adventure so far. I am doing well. I had an adventure yesterday. Okay. My sister came and took me out. We went to a coastal town named Mystic, Connecticut. And we went to a yarn shop where I got almost 7 ounces of gorgeous black that fades to a light brown, a medium brown, llama fur. And learned about some other stuff. And we were there at the No Kings rally and then had lunch. A really, really good lunch that I ended up finishing for dinner. So Mystic, Connecticut is, unfortunately now it's almost 100% a tourist town. Even though locals do go there, it has become established as, we love tourists, and they put a lot of stuff in there that is basically aimed at nothing but tourists. Yeah, it is a nice area, and It's not the town it was 50 years ago when I used to perform there. I used to be a wandering minstrel for the fine arts festivals. And now, back then it was like, I don't know, $25 if you wanted to be an artist and show your paintings and whatever you did by hand. And now it's over $250, and they have judges and all kinds of other crap. So it is. And one place, it was too cold and windy to go to, but they were open. They have an ice cream parlor right at the Mystic Bridge that makes really, really good ice cream. And although I am not actually a big ice cream eater, if it hadn't been cold and windy, I would have had to have a little bit, just because they make their own and they have really good flavors. I do, as much as they really are good, I do not remember what I last had there, although somewhere I have a photograph because Rich and I went there. And the only sad thing is, like, when somebody visits you from out of the country, you want to do a lot. And when you've only got 10 days to explore a whole country, obviously you can't. 10 days is hardly enough to really explore a good city. I mean, New York in 10 days, well, you can see an awful lot in 10 days, but that's not always the best way to see it. A city, you want to browse, you want to take your time, you want to explore the cafes and the shops that are not just for the tourists, and that's what I like. But anyway, when we were in Mystic, we tried to do too much because he wanted to experience more than just lunch. So we did have a good day, but then we did too much, like having a meal and then having a too sweet frappuccino, kind of a weird drink that really wasn't very good at all. Excuse me. Give us both acid and indigestion, in fact. And that kind of spoiled, the rest of the day. But nevertheless, it was like, well, now let's have ice cream. It's like we just had this terrible coffee. So not everything it should be rushed. I like to savor things. So I will get back to Mystic eventually and have ice cream when I get there. It'll be warmer by a lot, no doubt. So, my darling grandson, do you want to recount anything or just relax now that you're home and you need time to decompress from the drive? I made some cool stuff. I made a pouch for my sister and a little pouch for her granddaughter, her first granddaughter. I have pictures. I'll show you the pictures because I already gave the pouches away yesterday. Open up gallery. Uh-oh, my phone seems to be frozen all of a sudden. There you go. Okay. Oh, I guess we need more light. Oh, Doc is awake. Go back to sleep. Okay, there's the front of the pouch for my great-granddaughter. My great-niece, rather. Great-grandniece? My niece's daughter. And that's the back of it. So blue wool and a synthetic. Now, Diana is whimsical, and I made her this pouch. I made that button. That fish is a button that I felted. That's the back of it. Little fishies hiding out. And that was all done so that I could protect. Oh, that's a better picture. So I could protect the a soft spot. It wasn't strong enough, and I needed to add some wool to it, but I was out of the aquamarine that she wanted. So you could also just fold it over and hide the button and make it a little trifold. She just wanted something to carry a mirror and a lipstick. And I said, all right, I will make you something. Oh, you don't have to do that. I guess I do. But I do it because I love to do it, not because I have to do it. And you did not see my pocketbook. I will now show you my pocketbook. Because I went and took a class and the teacher went nuts over it. She thought it was gorgeous. My sister fell in love with it and thinks I should go into business making them. She says, you could sell that. Now, I have had 2 businesses already. And I can tell you that every time you want a business, you need to research that specific business. It's a lot of work, way before you make your first penny. So I am not all about making money. And the thing is, because this does take, I have it hanging up. I made the rope to carry it by. Because it takes so much time, if somebody wants one of these, yes, they're going to have to pay for it. And thank you. And please, the brain needs breaks, all right? Your creativity has not gone anywhere, I guarantee you. Every time you have to make some more emotional adjustments, at your age especially, it takes a little longer for you to put everything in order in your brain. Not consciously, it's just what the brain does. You'll get it all back after you have decompressed. Don't worry about your eating, but do try to be a little bit more active if you're going to eat. You're at least at the age where that'll come off faster, all right? When you start to develop the belly fat that doesn't go anywhere, that's from stress and anxiety and old age and not being able to have the same metabolism. So don't worry so much. You're fine. Well, meditating is easy because it's just sitting there being quiet and listening to the dullest sound you can focus on. Try to find, I call it the note of the room. Everywhere you go, there is a dominant sound. All of the sounds together are vibrating, right? Sound vibrates. Eventually you will notice a particular sound. It's like when you're in a place where there's absolutely nothing happening and it's so quiet, you hear something because it's so quiet, there's nothing to hear, and you start to hear the sounds of your own body. It's kind of weird, but people who are meditating out in the desert will find the silence can be deafening. So just find the tone of the room, the sound of the nature, whatever is a constant, a fan going around, an air conditioner if you have that, a constant sound. And you just pay attention to that sound. Focus on the sound, because when you're focusing on any one point, you can't focus on everything else. Your mind will do what it's meant to do, wander. It wanders to check the perimeters to make sure you're safe. You've got to remind it, you're safe, you're safe. These 15 minutes are for me, shut up. And then go back to focusing on the sound. That's great. That's great. Because while you're focusing on that, your brain is getting a break from its constant search for more information. The brain is made to do that. It's the whole thing about keeping you safe. The primitive brain never sleeps. Just like, the autonomous nervous system is keeping you breathing at night. You don't have to worry about stopping breathing in the middle of the night. Although we do have people with certain problems that need a CPAP machine to wake them up a little bit. But most people, no. Any sound that's boring, it needs to be boring. That's why listening to a song doesn't work. My go-to at night is actually rain. I love rain, and knowing that I love rain, even though with my hearing aids out I can't really hear rain, even when it's pounding on the roof, although occasionally it's bad enough I can hear it, but most of the time I can't hear the rain. So when I put on a meditation thing like, I think I sent you one That's actually a cool thing to do in the morning. Motivation. It's an hour long, and it's just sound in the background. It's nothing to listen to really, but you can if you want. The idea though with subliminals is that you don't want to hear it. Your subconscious hears it, and I love this motivational tape. I keep calling it a tape. When I started learning about all that stuff, there were tapes, and you had to listen to buy the tapes and listen to tapes. So my brain still says tapes, but the recordings you can access for free on YouTube. I'll be happy to send you some, but I have one that I do every morning. It's an hour long. I just put it on while I do other stuff I normally do in the morning, like make my tea and play my games, whatever I'm going to do in the morning, and chill. And it's going on in the background. And around the 45-minute mark, every time, now you can't hear any words, so you don't know that this is going to come up, but even if I start it halfway through, at the 45-minute mark, I just get up and do something. And it's not like I feel any pressure. There's nothing going on in my brain. It's more like when I see something, I do it. Right? It's like get up, like, oh yeah, well I'm doing that. I can do this. But again, I don't feel like there's any pressure. Everything is very natural. You look at something, your brain calculates whether you can get that done at the moment or have to procrastinate a little bit longer for some other reason. So it's just a great way to help organize your mind. And it's literally like the most painless thing you can do to boost your brain because it's background. If you're reading, it's background. You don't want to focus on that specifically when you are, well, like if I'm writing, I'll put something on that is about well, it could be about anything really, anything I want to program to enjoy exercising more. There is a website here. I'm going to just tell you. I love them because this guy has really mastered programming the brain orally. Minds in unison. I think it's all one word for his website, I mean his page here, but he does a really good job. So I keep a couple of his or on my daily, I've got a daily playlist which I don't listen to every day, but it's got exercises, it's got a little bit of everything, and it has a couple of those motivational. I think I just added procrastination to it. I want to see how they affect me because I love that it's really no work. That's how I quit smoking without pain. You have to teach your subconscious because your subconscious is running the show. And honestly, I enjoy exercise once I'm in it because it does feel good and it energizes you. It helps you deal with depression. Exercise is the fastest way to deal with anxiety. As soon as your body goes in motion, the chemistry of anxiety changes and it becomes more manageable. Depression, well, the problem with depression is you're usually too depressed when you're depressed to do anything. People who are suffering from depression have trouble motivating themselves to get into the shower on a regular basis. So it's a different animal. I know I've got a few people in my building that suffer from depression. I don't want to be around it. One of them is a friend, so I do care about how she's doing. But, you know, when it comes to some things, well, everything, really, people have to help themselves because you can't wait for other people to do something. Plus, it's your brain. If anything to do with your brain, you've got to take care of because nobody else can help you with that, for sure. Your brain, your pain. And remember when it comes to meditation, first of all, doing it for hours is ridiculous. You're wasting your time. Unless you have a specific program like a healing thing, like Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditations, those go on for, some of them go on for quite some time, but that is to get you into a completely different place. That's not the same as just meditating for the sake of your brain and, you know, your emotional system. it is important to meditate, but a few minutes, literally a few minutes, can do it. You don't have to do it all day. People misunderstand that because of those people like monks who devote themselves to that practice for the entire day in some cases. But unless you're planning on joining a monastery, now, I like Paul McKenna for his self-hypnosis trances. He's got several, well, I think 2 or 3 that I keep on my daily list also, just in case I need them. One of them is a long one for sleep. Unfortunately, like I said, he does a really good job, but my being deaf, I can't do an overnight listening to anything because I can't hear it. Hearing aids are being charged, and I can't sleep with hearing aids on anyway. But Paul McKenna has really improved millions of lives, all of his books. I would love to get his app. He has now created an AI for his app that basically helps you personalize your trances. And I think that's an excellent idea, but I don't have the money. It's a paid subscription. It's really not bad, but it's just not something I can afford at this time. But I highly recommend Paul's videos here because they're short, they're sweet, 20 minutes. Like during the elections when I was really feeling angry and depressed, I found Paul, and I noticed that if I start my morning and end my night listening to a 20-minute meditation, or 20, it's like having a guided visual. It's a really handy thing. It does a lot more than you think it's doing. So I've listened to several of his freebies because he generously posts these things to help humans. He is a genuine good guy. He stopped doing a lot of stuff to make himself rich. He still has book deals he's got to, write. But he does so much for free. You can avail yourself of his support for nothing, but spending a few minutes listening. Now, the reason I have a problem with that at night is because, like I said, take the hearing aids out. He does the voice switching left to right channel, which is a really handy tool for retraining your brain. Now, it is really thin right there. I need to thicken that up just a little bit. You can see the orange came through nicely. And now we're going to make it go the other way. Okay, we got the red part down. Now we're going to do the pink. Okay. It's turning into something. Now, I went looking at handmade pocketbooks to kind of get an idea. My sister told me what she thought my purse was worth. What she thinks I would get for it. And she said, don't forget, it's got to be marked up for the person selling it for you. It's like, yeah, she thinks $50 would be a fair price. And I'm like, it took 3 days to make. Now, it's true, it's not the only thing I did those 3 days, so I do not know what it would be like if I was doing this for financial gain. I hate thinking about that, because yes, of course I could use money. Who can't? Well, except for the billionaires who don't need it. And everybody I know could use a few extra bucks. But, you know, at this point in my life, the idea of starting a business again, no, it just doesn't appeal at all. Creating new things always appeals. But you know, there's limits of what a person can do. I also had to sign an agreement with this company that owns my building, the one I live in, not mine. We're not allowed to use our homes to produce products that we can sell. Now, honestly, I do not know why that is a problem, since all income has to be reported no matter what. To stay here, to get the assistance, we have to turn over all of our financial records. Every dime we make is recorded twice a year. Twice a year. They get to go through our bank accounts looking for suspicious income. So that's already annoying and embarrassing enough. And you get to a point where you stop feeling embarrassed by it, but you do feel invaded. It's like, this is really none of your people's business. Other than they raise the rent on well, they raise the rent automatically every year. So I'm hoping that, considering our economy right now and our insane president and his evil people supporting him in this war, if we don't stop it like now, we're not going to have money for housing the poor and disabled, because that's where they take it from. All of the support networks is where they take the money. They never take it from the billionaires. They only take it from the poor. But I'm really glad when I went to the rally. I wasn't there just for the rally. Physically, it was just too cold and windy for my breathing. So it wasn't really a healthy thing for me to do, to be out there. But you meet nice people. I do like doing that. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought here because I decided to concentrate on this. So I'm getting what's attention deficit? No. What is it when you're all over the place? I forgot. do this, I do that. Uh-oh, made that a little thin. Let's fix that. Okay, one left. Nope, a little short. Well. Okay, sweetie. Thinking doesn't help you when you're in a box. Exercise, getting out in fresh air, and taking your mind off of what's bothering you will help you more than trying to focus and fight your way out of the paper bag. Seriously. When you're young, you think you can think your way out of it, but actually you have to feel your way out of it. You're going to be okay, sweetie. And of course, please, anytime, write to me. That will help. As soon as you start exercising, the blood goes to your brain, you get some clarity. It does us a lot of good. Even if I don't want to go outside, I'll put on something like, a fast-moving music, and I will try to make myself move, and then it gets easier. And then I get into the groove, and I have fun. Feel good, my love. Is it already time to go? I have been here. Well, I need to cut these two. I'm only an email away. Yes, do send some pictures. Oh, I know, my darling, I don't demand that you be here. I never would. You are here to have your own adventure. I just want to encourage you. But I do love seeing you. So, because it is later in the day for you than it is for me, I'm going to go ahead and sing Sweet Dreams Be Yours, Dear. If dreams there be, I'll be back tomorrow, definitely. Way before 3, because tomorrow is bingo and I gotta bake something for it. Love you too, honey. Thanks for coming by and letting me know you're really basically okay. And here is Doc. All right. Aloha. Como ça va? How are you? Did the rain stop yet? And away it goes. At the moment, no rain. Do you have more coming? Because I saw an alert about more storms coming over here, but I did not look at it closely, so I'm not sure when or exactly where. Looks like the Midwest is going to get hit hard again. I have to get some yellow. Yeah, you shouldn't even be up right now. What is all that orange? No, it's got to go in here. Oh, that's weird. All right, somewhere I've got more orange. I'm not sure where. Take a little poof of this. Maybe an extra little poof. A whisper of fiber. Oh, there you are. I gotta take that out again. Hi, Gary. Good morning. Or good afternoon now. You need rain. Yeah. It's gonna be harsh down there this summer, it looks like. sock. My Gladys Travis neighbor need to hand you something. Did they hand you what you wanted? The last thing we need is a Gladys, you mean like a Gladys Kravitz? Busybody, nosy bitch. Oh no. I told you, man, buy a fucking sploof. In your building, you need that. In bad weather, nobody's going out. Gladys Kravitzes go to the farthest extent they can to cause problems for people. So, yeah, invest in a sploof. It's like 20 bucks. Amazon carries them. You can get one where you can buy replacement filters. I recommend that, because shipping is going to go way up with the war blocking our oil. The post office said they're adding 8% to the shipping of packages. 8%. Yep, yep. Dangerous bitch to have around. Lives for trouble. Those people live for trouble. They don't recognize themselves unless they got their nose up everybody's butt. And thank you, Gary. It's my first flower. Actually, I did the one in the class, but this is my first. Anyway, and it's also my own design. So, it's all an experiment. It's all learning, you know. Is she also racist? Because, you know.
Gladys likes to watch everybody that looks different from her. You know what I mean.
We need an end gun for her.
Amna.
Oh, do. It is very soothing, and if you lose your patience, just turn it into a voodoo doll of, you know, the president, for example. Now, not a people realize it, especially younger people, but the movie On the Town with Gene Kelly and Frank Sinatra, a very young, skinny Frank Sinatra, and a bunch of other famous people, included the original Gladys Kravitz singing and doing minor dancing. And she was picked out and insisted upon by Gene Kelly himself. She was a wonderful actress, and she died way too young of ovarian cancer, for which back then there was no test and no cure. So Gary, if you want to try felting, I recommend that you go to Temu and get yourself a kit. When it shows you what's in the kit, you want to make sure you get these. If possible, one of these, but most of them do not include that. It should include finger protectors, trust me. You will need them. And a multi-felting tool of one kind or another. They do have special purposes, and it does speed it up. So you want those for sure. They come in different kits. My first kit came with this, but the one that Michael got me for my birthday came in here with a lot more stuff. As long as you have finger protection and a needle, all you need are samples. And the cool thing about needle felting is when you get those kits with those little bags, little teeny bags they shove enough in there, which is not all the best for my felting with wet felting, but for needle felting, it's great. You get a big variety of colors. You can play all you want. Start when you're learning, you make little things. You're not going to need a huge amount of anything. Now, if you wanted to make a penguin, you would invest in some of this stuff, because this, you would roll it tightly to make the shape, the general shape of the creature you want. And you don't want to use all your colored felt up, so the center is usually something like this. It's less expensive, it's coarser, it felts really fast. And I've been doing all these experiments, so I'm having a blast. My sister flipped out over her goldfish underwater, which made me feel really good. Okay, that is, I guess we're going to do this differently. Well, I do want this to be kind of like a, you know, like a daffodil. It's got the throat in the center, but that's probably too big, so I better turn this down a little. Now this all started with, for me, it was started years ago when I went and did a soap show, and my booth was right across from a needle felter, and I thought it was just fascinating, and I always wanted to try it. But then I didn't want to go and invest in another hobby, you know, because obviously I'm doing painting all the time, and I'm writing, so I don't need one more damn hobby or something that uses my money up. I went nuts this month. I spent way more than I intended. It's something I haven't done in many years, many years, but I did feel good adding to my wardrobe and getting something I'm passionate about, because I just love this. It's like playing with a baby blanket. It's so soft. You want to see the llama hair I bought yesterday? I got almost 7 ounces of llama hair. It's $5 an ounce. I bought the whole bag because when we started weighing it out, it was so hard for her to weigh out because somebody was in her office and they unplugged everything to run something else like the printer, and she had to put everything back together just to use the damn scale. Let me just finish cutting these and then I'll grab that bag. I showed it earlier. It is so cool. It doesn't felt the same way as wool. It has to be really, if you want to work with wool, it needs to be a combo. So I'll be working with them together. llama wool is hollow. The fibers are hollow. They add exceptional warmth, softness, and strength, but they don't felt the same way because they don't have any oil or lanolin in the body of it. So it has very little memory, like wool has a memory, and llama hair does not. But when you see it, I think you'll understand why I went, I want that. That right there. I was disappointed that her merino wool, which is this stuff, she did not have a large selection of that because most people that go to her shop are knitting or crocheting. But you can use needle felting and wet felting, well, mostly needle felting, to repair sweaters. You just create a design. So did you see the final of the thing for my sister? Well, look at that, my first flower. Well, I made a calla lily in that class, which was a fraction of the work here. Let me just get this in place. This is going to become a pin for my summer hat. And to that, they use hat pins for these. I thought it was like the traditional, pin back, but they just stick a pin right up it and it's done. It's like, I like that. Okay, so let's get these wrinkled again. Woohoo! My first flower. It's kind of big, but it'll be on a summer hat. It'll look great. Okay, let me show you. I have to pull the pictures up because I already gave them away. Oh, here's the buttons I got. I got 2 little sheep buttons. They're so cute. Little painted eyes and everything. Yeah. Move that to trash. To trash. Okay. There's the front of one bag. That went to my great niece. She's 3 years old. Nice button on it. I made a little felt loop for the button, and I pleated the top of that. And that's the back of it. I think you saw me make this one. And here's Diana's. The button came out so cute. Turns out the inspiration was perfect. My sister loves whimsy. And here is the back of it. I put 2 little goldfish in there with the... Oh, there it is. Okay, so that shows it a little bit better. It was so fun to do. And it looks cute. And if you don't want to use the button, you just skip the button and fold it into a trifold. So it looks like that. I'm so thrilled that she loved it. And I told her, you're going to get something else because you wanted aquamarine wool. And I didn't have enough aquamarine. I thought I did, but I had 2 shades, and even together, there were not enough to do the whole pouch. That's how I ended up with a goldfish. So that was not something I started off thinking I was going to do. But now that I did the goldfish, I am making a pouch for my son. That'll be more of a bag you can do crossbody. It's going to be in earth tones, but it's going to have, I'm going to make him a button. I'm going to make the button, if I can, I'm going to try, into a bat shape. Because Halloween is his favorite holiday. Okay, let's see, part 2. Oh, by the way, guys, if you want fortune cookies, I knocked one out yesterday, this morning, and I had to break it. So my fortune today is perfect. Seek out the humor in everyday situations, which we just did with you, Maui, over Gladys Kravitz. Now let me show you the fur. This stuff is amazing. So this is all the neutrals, well, the browns. Okay, so these 3 I got this week. You can see it's quite a bit. It was worth it. But when you do the needle felting, you'll get little bits that'll come in a little teeny weeny Ziploc bag. But check this out. I let all the air out of it. I got the last of her supply of this color. She had only 1 color left, but that color was lighter. It was more like this. Since I already have so much of this, I didn't need it. Also, llama doesn't felt the same way as wool. Check that out. It's like having a wig on the table. Let's see if you can. Notice how it goes from one color to the next. The tips of it are a lighter brown, and the darkest point, it's nearly black brown. I had to have it. So we didn't know how much it was at the first, and I said, okay, let me grab a couple handfuls, and I'll see if I can just incorporate this with wool and make it stretch, because I did not know what this was going to cost. So I ended up getting a couple of ounces in Ziploc bags, and she weighed them out. She said the whole bag is just under 7 ounces. And I thought, I had $30 on me, and it came to $35. And then she gave me a discount and a gift. She gave me a store mug, and it's a special mug. This is like a Black Dog mug. It's like a LL Bean mug. It is actually made in America. It's Westford, China, but China meaning this. It is a heavy ass mug, I'll tell you. But it's Mystic River Yarns in Mystic, Connecticut. Isn't that just adorable? The other side is Mystic River Yarns. Very much like a mystic wooden sign. So I got a gift. My sister got one. And I thought that was so sweet because she had to open the store especially for us. We arranged it through email. So I'm just squishing all the air out. It is so unbelievably soft. It is the softest. It's way softer than merino, and merino is super soft. I'm going to say it may be around cashmere or mohair soft. Oh, I see. I got a hair stuck in there. Back. We don't want to damage this. Looks like a chicken. Looks like chicken. Ha! I have not seen any dark chickens, although I know they are, like the bantams are black and white and red. So I have everything I need to make Michael's bag, and I am making one for myself. The one that's my next project is one for me, actually. It's going to be very much like the first bag I made, but bigger, and I'm going to do it with pinks and roses, and maybe some purple. Now, I will tell you, these bags are so handy for wool because they don't weigh anything themselves, and I like that you can see everything in it. I don't have to go opening and closing things just to find the right wool. Oh. Let's put this away. Da, da, da. So I do need more of these, some of these colors. I do have some on order. I will be getting everything the next couple of weeks, and I have to restrict myself to finishing up more projects before I buy more yarn. Although I think I ordered some more of this purple because, well, look, it's just so little. It was one of the little poofs that came in the tiny bag. So that's about how much you get in those sample bags. It's not a lot. It's plenty for doing needle felting, small things. It's only for embellishment when you're starting to talk about wet felting. And that's my favorite thing to do, wet felting. Is it easier to use? The llama is harder to felt because it doesn't have any fat or oil in it. Like, okay, sheep's wool has lanolin. Lanolin is a fat that gives them their skin a softness. The hair is softer because of the lanolin. And after you have done a lot of washing out, when you want to return it to its normal sheen, you soak the item in water with a little bit of vinegar, and it returns it to its original luster. Whereas llama wool is finer, softer. It doesn't have that spring, like it won't do this. Okay, if I do this to it, it's just going to go. It's not going to keep a shape, no spring. It's a hollow fiber. It holds more air, so it's actually warmer than plain wool. But it doesn't like to wet felt. It does, but it takes a lot more time because it is so soft, and it doesn't have the same kind of a locking mechanism that wool has. So you can needle felt it. It takes just a little bit longer because it's finer, but needle felting is probably the better way to go in general for llama, as far as I can tell. But if I mix it with wool, which is my intention, I will get a blending of colors, and I will get the extra softness, warmth, and strength that comes with the llama. So that's what I'm going to start with. I'm not going to try and do a straight pure llama for a bag. If I was making yarn where you twist it up, I would do that. But I'm more interested in the wet felting, obviously. When you're starting out felting, you definitely want to stick with wool. What they send you is wool. Now you can felt with needle felting. You can use acrylics too. So a big ball of red that I got that would not wet felt because it turned out to be synthetic, called wool, I can needle point that. I can needle felt that into something. So I can still make a mat of it, only with needles though. And I can't think of anything right now that I want to make with that much red. I bought it mostly to be an embellishing color. but you never know. You know, I want to try different things. It's fun. Now, what I'm going to have to do, I'll have to finish off these petals with the single point needle. This last is super fragile, super thin. I did that intentionally, but I can see by the edges, you know, they're not healed edges. If I want it to look better and be stronger around the edges, I'm going to have to needle felt it. But the needle felting is great. Now this is what happens if you wet felt. So this is felt. It's already made. It's just a big square. On this, I can needle felt this. Alright, so this is like if I want to add embellishments, I could make a tablecloth, or I can cut it up. I can turn this into paintings. They call them 2D paintings. I have an example on the other side of the room. This is wet felting that then gets cut, ironed, and needle felted into the shape of a flower. This I just made because I had excess stuff, so I went ahead and checked it to make sure it was really wool. Because of the way it was cut, I was a little nervous about it because they cut it, that's all I had, this length. Merino has very, very long fibers, so this was a drag. But it did felt up. So what you can do after you needle felt things, you can felt them together. I can make, you know, you overlay that, you can make it look like a patchwork quilt. Basically, you can make a patchwork quilt with it. And it'll be heavy and warm because it's felt. It'll be like a wool blanket. So this was our experiment. Yeah, you have to iron, definitely. You don't use wool or felt. Wool becomes felt. This is felted. This is felted. This is what you think of when you think of the word felt. That's already commercially made, but it's already fully shrunken. So when I take natural wool fibers and wet felt them onto this, like to make a picture, yes, it stuck at first, but this continued to shrink. See, this came out all the way to the edges of this piece of felt. When this shrunk, it started pulling on the felt because this did not shrink. So I went and pulled it all off. I just very carefully removed this. That's what the back looks like. It shows you the first colors that got laid down. Now I can turn this into a 2D painting by now using this as a background for a needle felting. So I can make a garden down here, I can put a house or something up here, whatever. And if it's needle felted, it'll be fine. It won't shrink anymore. It'll match this in terms of density. It's not going to go anywhere. But you can see how much things shrink. So like I'm planning my next couple of bags, and it's going to be a little trickier because I've got to, now that I've made one that I really like, I have a different idea for the next one. It needs to be bigger, and I know what parts I want to reinforce on it by adding extra wool. So, you know, everything is, yeah, you iron it after you, well, that's wet felting, Gary. If you're just needle felting, you're not likely to have to iron anything. This is, the flower was made first with wet felting, and then I needle felted it around the edges and then together. So it's one flower. Now, if I had planned this out better, I would have made a difference in the way I did the coloration on this layer. Still, I like how it came out. This was actually going to be a calla lily. I was going to do a second calla lily in class, and I was fussing so much with the leaves on the first one, I didn't get to the second one. But it didn't matter. I went to the class to learn how they got a very perfect calla lily, and it turned out, oh, it's nothing different than I'm doing already, except for the ironing. So this is the felt, and before you cut it, you iron it, and then you cut your flower shape, which in this case is like a heart, and the bottom of the heart, or where the heart indents, that's what gets wrapped around a stem like that. Of course, this is the shape it's supposed to be. And you see how fluffy this is? When you're done, it's not anywhere near that fluffy. It's like this. Now we did all of this with the basic batting, and then she came by and gave everybody a little whisper of white to make the top layer, so we would have more of a brightness to the flower itself. So yeah, learning that you iron in one step was an improvement on what I already knew, which was very little. But this, even if I ironed it, it's not going to make it stick. It has to be battened down. Now I'm expecting some wool, but that's synthetic, and the synthetic does not felt. It doesn't wet felt, but synthetics will needle felt. So I'm going to be using these textured fancy little yarns to create stuff on this. So I'm not done. It's all a learning thing. So I'm going to turn this into basically a 2D item. Now, if I wanted to make a 3D, or they call it 2D, 3D, I would perhaps do a garden down here and then make a felted flower. That's the 3D part. That would get felted into the picture. So there's lots of different things you can do. Now, Gary, you liked those felted ornaments, and those are made in Nepal, as I told you, where they apparently do a lot of felting, because, and I don't know why, but they use New Zealand wool a lot. So they're getting the wool from New Zealand, and then they're turning it into items. So I was looking at the world market, because that's where they have those. I did look online to see if anybody else had them, and no, they didn't. Apparently they're not the most popular item in the world, but they are cute, and they're so lightweight. That's the advantage. It costs nothing to ship, pretty much, because shipping's by weight. Yeah, yeah. So the secret is that just settle on something to try. Doing a calla lily, I had no particular interest in a calla lily. I showed you, right? I have it on my hat right now. But I knew that if I took the class, I would be able to ask questions of the instructor that maybe others weren't asking. And it turns out she's very good at wet felting as well. So she had a couple of her projects that she brought in, but her specialty are figurines that are realistic looking. Magnificent work. But her next project that'll be in my location is to make a little bluebird, like about that big, also with a pin through it. It's like, I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in making objects like that, but I get it. They're amazing pieces of art. So it's just a matter of, well, like the fish. Gary, if you're going to get a kit, mind you, it's not expensive through Temu, so whatever you're getting, you're going to be good. There are kits that come with teeny weeny templates like this. My first kit came with this. 4 tiny felt templates. then my gift came, and I got all these big templates. So a template is made out of high density felt. Um, I'm guessing it is synthetic material that they use to felt this, so they use a chemical to make it stiff. When you have these, they have this silly little fish, right? So if you want to use, here, let me, oh, let's give it a shot. What do I have on the desk? All right, let's say I want to put a butterfly on here. I would take a poof. Now this is for needle felting. You have to learn how to make these poofs in wet felting as well. So what they were doing, they were making huge things. They look small when they're hanging up, but then when you read how long those are, they're bigger. They go a yard, 3 feet long and 4 feet long. And they're getting about $25 for a 4-foot one. But the things that they're using, they're huge. So get your little felt, or guess I could have used a little bit bigger. We'll get a bigger poof here. Now merino wool has a long staple, meaning the length of the fiber is very long. And if you want it to work well, you want to poof it out. Oh, my pleasure. I think it's really healthy to pick up new hobbies, especially because this has a practical application. You can repair sweaters this way. So you can actually repair clothes without having to sew, and you can be more creative about it. Or for costumes, for cosplay, you can do your own decorations that nobody else has because they did not know how to make them or really understand they could. That's really a common problem. People don't know they can do things, or even that some things exist. I did not have a clue about wet felting before I happened across it by accident while researching regular needle felting. Now, I recommend, now my fingers are now kind of working like a sewing machine foot, but tweezers or cover your finger with a little leather cot. So basically, when you're needle felting it with a template, you're jamming this stuff in here and making sure it stays inside the lines. You just keep pushing it over. And you add more as you need to. You do not have to jab really down far because the barbs only go so far, right? And the deeper you are going, well, that could lead to some problems later, like, okay, we attach ourselves to the pad. In this case, it's okay, I need this to make sure we stay in the lines. Okay, so a butterfly is a good practice one because it's got all these different little angles. And if you don't fill it in, it's not going to look like a butterfly when you remove the template. So you don't have to wear yourself out with heavy hitting. You can be you can be gentle. It's just a patience thing. And it doesn't take long, I promise, for you to get acquainted with when you're making it. If it feels felted properly, you can tell. It'll feel firm in some places, it'll feel wispy in others, and that's where you add more. So I want to make sure I get all the angles down in there. Following the lines of the template. And get down there. The more you felt it, the denser it gets. So when I was making the goldfish button, I wanted to make sure it'd be stiff enough to be a button. If it was too floppy, it would just keep folding, and that's not what we wanted. So I kept adding. Went back, added more, poofed it up, and you'll start to see you're sculpting with a needle. You just wind it up and jam it in there. It's a little different when you're making wet felting, where you need to make sure everything crisscrosses properly. Now, I believe this felts better if you do have the fibers crisscrossed, like some go down this way, some go down this way, so they catch better. But when you are doing something like this, getting your basic shape, it's not all that important. So you see, as it gets, the more I'm felting it with the needle, the smaller it's getting, the flatter it's getting. Now I can see that these lobes are going to need more. So definitely, because you never know. I did not have any intention of ever using a template like this until the goldfish came up. My brain said, put a goldfish on it. She'll love it. She's whimsical. And turned out to be the perfect thing. But I did not want to sit here trying to draw a fish and then felt it. So when I found, well, yeah, there's little fishies on here. That's the one I used. Now this one, see, I added a tail to mine. So my tail actually came out. I made a smile in it, so my fish was clearly an original fish, even though I started with a template. And you'll find yourself doing the same things. Like, oh yeah, this needs to be this or that. And what's really fun too is you can blend your fibers together and get different color gradations and stuff that's entirely original. And I believe that working with your hands, whether it's a craft, the garden, designing on the computer, I think the computer is great, but it actually does not give you the same sense of satisfaction using your fingers and your hands in the same way like you do with... I love my computer. I have loved computers. I know a lot of people don't love their computers. They just use them because they need to use them. But I've always loved my computers, and I couldn't wait to get started on them in the 80s. But it's still a different satisfaction to complete something on the computer than it is as it is to complete something in a more meaningful way, like gardening, pounding the, you get your hands in the soil, you get acquainted with your plants and get to know the flowers and all that. So it's an involvement that's way different than just sitting on the computer. And when you are doing something like this, you're engaging other parts of your brain that need stimulation but may not normally get it. And if you stimulate one part of your brain, it helps the rest of your brain. I don't want the template to stick to this, no. I'm just using it to outline where the wool has to go, to give me the basic shape. And I can see now that it's gone, I can see where it needs to be built up a little bit. And I will go ahead and put this back on so I can add and stay within those guidelines. You put a plant for your window and a fake flower. Well, does it make you happy to look at it? Yeah, see? You use a felting pad. Usually when you buy a kit, you get something like this as your felting pad, but you will wear through. Every time you pop a bubble, it's like bubble wrap. It starts flattening until you'll be able to touch your fingers together through it. Yeah, it's not a hard thing. It's a patience thing. You can speed up or slow down. You can put it down and not have to worry about it, like finishing a project where the paint is drying, You have timing that matters. Or like once I start wet felting, there's a timing that gets involved. But needle felting, I can leave this for a year and come back to it and it won't be changed, right? Now another option to see if you want to do it before you buy a kit is to buy a kit. Let me show you. I just got gifted this. This was part of my birthday present from the creative circle that I attend every Friday morning. It is a seaside beach. It comes with everything you need to get started. It has every color you're going to use on your design, and in this case, the design is printed on it. You can't screw up. And it teaches you how to do this. Now, the background looks so smooth. The trick to that is not putting the needle in too deeply or doing wet felting. Now, I want to wet felt this, and I don't have that much interest in doing a needle felting scene. But it was my friends who bought this for me. You know what that means. I will have to do it. But I'm not going to be doing it in... Okay, yeah, you need to be. You must be careful about buying things right now. But if you're going to buy something, buy something that you can expand with. If if you start with a little kit, Walmart has them for as low as $10. They even have a felt wind chime kind of a looking thing, a wall hanging. They have some cool stuff. And if you decide you don't like it, you can take all of the wool and roll it up in a ball and needle felt it tight and make a cat toy. It's never wasted. It doesn't go bad. It doesn't get moldy. Not wool. So you can make a cat toy, solid wool. We're only limited by our imagination. You sell the kits sometimes? Yeah. You work there, do you get a discount on the things you buy? I would hope. Now I made this butterfly pure white. We're not going to leave it that way, obviously. But this is a way that you can build things out of wool and not spend a bunch of money, because the white or the undyed, you know, that's going to be your main body. And then you just take little teeny wisps of other colors and lay them down and needle point them over the white. So you save a ton of money because you don't need to buy like a whole pound of one color. Those little poofs you get in the kit will give you plenty to start with. Then you can do like what I'm doing, going to Temu to get specific colors, or Amazon to get specific colors. Yes, more expensive on Amazon, but I went to Amazon because I had a gift certificate I needed to use. And so I used the whole gift certificate on three batches of wool. And I'm very happy with them. But I want to make sure that the wool was definitely wool. I saw the reviews. People mentioned it in water, working with water with it. It's like, okay, now we're on the right track. I want this to get a little bit down there so I can make a little body and stick it in there. Now in this case you do want to go through to the other side just a little bit. Because I do want this attached to this. I'm making a bookmarker out of it for Gloria. Gloria turned 99 this last week. Unfortunately, she's so deaf, it was a waste of time trying to call her. But I made sure she got at least 3 birthday cards, all fabulous. The first one she got flipped her out so much she called me. But it was, she talks, I listen, and then she has to hang up because she can't hear a damn word I say. Okay, so we're starting to see the butterfly shape. We're starting to see the poofy here. And you just take your time creating your little sculpture. This is what it amounts to. You're sculpting with a needle and yarn. Okay, so let's see, what do we have for another color? I can make a body. Okay, so we're just going to use this because it's handy to make a little body. And then I am going to lunch because I've run over again. I've been on for 2 hours and 40 minutes. Oh my God. Jock, you better hurry back. I want to go. Now, Gloria, as you know, she's our butterfly lady. Everything I do now with her has a butterfly somewhere, even if it's just on the outside of the envelope in the form of a dollar store sticker. See, so it's not hard. Definitely not hard. It's just patience and developing a feel for the material and an eye. And Gary, you're very talented yourself. You did art, even if you're not doing it anymore. I know you've got a good eye, and I think that you would enjoy anything. You need something new, something fresh, and also affordable. It's unfortunate we can't get this kind of stuff at a dollar store. Oh, good. Ah, well, for your sake, I hope so. She harasses the fellow workers as if she is the owner of the store with a bad attitude. So she should not work with those people. She can't change her attitude. She can't be nice. Who needs it? Oh, I'm sure you can do it. I'm sure you can. Like I said, you used to paint. You've got a good eye. You've done crafting. I think that you would find yourself in familiar territory very quickly. Like I said, it's a strangely satisfying hobby. Even though needle felting is not my favorite part of it, it's still enjoyable. I'm still enjoying this. Now, I probably could have done a neater job of this. Um, I was mostly just interested in showing you how to use the template in the first place. I will finish this later. Although I am likely to just have lunch. I might do laundry today. I don't know. I might come back. I will be doing felting later. I just not necessarily on camera. But one of the things I've got going today is I found some styrofoam that I stashed, but it's not the right size. So I have to cut the styrofoam and then bring it together into making a larger custom size mold for my next bag. So one of the first things I have to look up, unless you already know and you can tell me, Gary, what's the best way to cut a styrofoam board? right. Long threads. They're not threads. They're staple. It's a staple. It's a long staple. Okay, so tomorrow I will add some color to this and perhaps put Gloria's name on it or do a little flower on this. We'll do something creative. And we'll send her another bookmarker. All right, thanks for hanging with me. I'll be back tomorrow. You can count on me. And I'm not sure what time, but I will be here. I've got to bake tomorrow. It's bingo night, and I must be there. Slowly for cardboard. How do you cut? No, I gotta cut the styrofoam. I got styrofoam this thick. I have to cut it in half, sandwich it, glue it together to make a thicker mold. My last bag, I used this for the mold, but it's too small because, like, you know, it shrinks. So I need something that's going to come out. So I need to custom make my mold. Well, you have a good day at work. May this week be... Oh, good. Okay. Me too. Until time to bake for bingo. So tomorrow I have to be out of here by 4 o'clock, cake baked. So I'll be on as early as I can, and then I'll get the hell out of here. You have a great afternoon, everybody. Doc, if you're here, aloha.